Integ Medical Devices.
Before we get started, I'd like to hand up some new information. If you could take one and pass it on. Thank you. I'm coming back to the slide. There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Yolanda Odenyo, and these are my colleagues and co-founders, Jay and Aditya, of Integ Medical Devices. Every day in the United States, Americans are admitted to the hospital. Some go in for simple outpatient procedures, whereas others go in for more complex procedures such as surgeries. Most of these patients, they come into the hospital and they leave in far better condition than they came in. However, a good portion, in fact, one study found that 100,000 of these patients do not make it out of the hospital alive. These 100,000 do not die from the conditions for which they came into the hospital with, but they die from secondary infections acquired while in the hospital. Out of these 100,000, 25,000 of these deaths are due to infections related to intravenous catheters. That is, in 1 year, 25,000 people die, which is 68 people, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, every day, dying from infections that could have been prevented. If you've ever been to the hospital, you may have had an intravenous catheter administered to you. You might have gotten it in your arm or on top of your hand. They can be administered to administer medication, to get you medication, or to take your blood. The main problem with these catheters, the technology of the catheters, is that they allow for the contact between blood and air to occur. When blood and air come into contact, you run the risk of contracting airborne diseases. In addition to that, the physician actually runs the risk of contracting bloodborne diseases by the patient. And also, the insertion process is delicate and time-consuming for the nurse or the physician administering the IV. And as we know, time is money, so a lot of time is spent administering this IV. In addition to that, every year, these infections that are related to IV catheter cost the United States $400 million every year. And of course, as mentioned, the deaths, the 68 every day, are another problem with these IV catheters. Our new product, our newly designed IV catheter, actually solves all of these problems. We have a new technology that prevents the blood and the air from coming into contact, which prevents the infection from occurring. Furthermore, the insertion process is made simple by the new design, which allows for less time to be taken to insert it, and of course, is more comfortable for the patient. Happier and healthier patients are a good solution, but in addition to that, as it is now, hospitals actually do not get paid from insurance companies for secondary infections that patients acquire while in the hospital. So, by eliminating these infections, we can eliminate the cost spent by hospitals and the less days for the patients, which also, of course, is less cost for the patient. I'd like to show you a little bit more about our technology. I'm going to show it on this screen right here. In your top left-hand corner, you can see the present-day catheter. This portion right here is what we refer to the actual catheter, whereas this portion is a connector. When the connector and the catheter are connected and disconnected is when the air and the blood are allowed to come into contact right here. This is when the patient is exposed to airborne diseases. Furthermore, of course, the nurse is exposed to potential bloodborne diseases. On your bottom right-hand corner, you can see our new patented catheter. Instead of two pieces, as you can see, it's only one piece. It's an integrated catheter, which eliminates that connecting and disconnecting. And furthermore, inside here is really the new technology, the diaphragm, that prevents the air and the blood from coming into contact, preventing the risk for infection, the risk for the patient to get infected with airborne diseases, and the risk for the nurse to be infected with bloodborne diseases. In conclusion, basically, our technology is a new medical innovation, which is mainly that diaphragm that prevents the blood and air from coming into contact, which can reduce costs and increase safety for the patient, and of course, it's simple to use. Because of that integrated system, it's only one portion instead of two for the nurses. Furthermore, the technology is patented until the year 2027, which gives us exclusive rights to the technology for another 17 years. We are currently in the process, as the letter would indicate, of sub-licensing that technology from Oklahoma State University. This table outlines our competitive advantage. As you can see, our advantage is highlighted, and the integrated cannula is what I just explained to you, that integrated system. And the closed system is what prevents the air and the blood from coming into contact. As you can see, compared to BD here, they also do have a closed system. However, their closed system does not have that diaphragm. So it does actually allow for air and blood coming into contact. So So we still have an advantage in that respect. Furthermore, of course, the cost reductions and the control in the hand of the physician is another advantage of our product. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague.
By solving these problems in the present day categories, we are entering a huge market of $1.6 billion in the US, and which is likely to grow 12.3% annually, which leads us to $2.85 billion in the US at 2014. With a rising healthcare cost, every day hospitals are trying and finding ways to reduce their costs. Our product, which prevents the secondary infection, exactly matches the need of the hospitals and the healthcare providers they are looking after right now. In addition to that, from 2008, Medicare and Medicaid no longer covers for the secondary infection. And that's a huge advantage of our product because our product reduces the chance of secondary infection. There are 275 million catheters is being used in the US by 4,800 hospitals and 15,000 nursing homes across the United States, which builds up to $1.6 billion in the sale in the US. Some of the key purchase decision makers in the hospitals and the healthcare facilities who acquire the new technology to use in them are these three. There are physicians and nurses who look for safety and efficacy in that device. There are financial personnel who look for the financial impact of the new technology coming in on their organizations. And the third, the purchase managers who look for the product availability and the ease of purchase. We are planning to enter Oklahoma market first. We have identified three key medical supply distributors who are in various parts of Oklahoma, which they can cater 113 hospitals in Oklahoma, which collectively uses 6 million catheters annually. After 1 year, after we have proved the proof of concept, after we get the credibility of our product, we plan to expand our market by going to neighboring states. In that process, we have identified two key distributors who are McKesson and PSS, who have multi-state supply contracts with Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. We plan to reach those customers, 750 hospitals, through them in these hospitals. And these 750 hospitals collectively use 36 million catheters annually. Talking about the marketing mix, our product, which is safe and easy because it prevents secondary infection, and it's easy to use because it reduces the number of parts involved. We reach our customers, our end users, who are hospitals and healthcare providers, through distributors. We have priced our product right now at $6, which is a premium price compared to the industry norm, which is $4.5 to $5.5. And this is the price we have come up with. It's off right now. But if we will reconsider the pricing depending on the milestone we achieve. In the first milestone, we are going to prove the safety and efficacy of the device. If we feel our product proves that this is a huge potential in benefiting the hospitals, we may consider increasing the price too. We will promote our product by participating in medical device conferences, by having evangelist doctors promoting our product by word of mouth, and we will attend the trade shows where all the distributors and hospital fraternity participates. We will have a two-level marketing approach. We will target end users to use our product, who are hospitals and nursing care facilities. We will directly approach distributors to carry our technology in their portfolio. Apart from this, distributors have their own sales and support team, which will cater the end user. Targeting the end user, we plan to create awareness by participating in medical device conferences and the conferences like Nursing Society Conference, which exactly the technology which are portrayed there are exactly related to the nurses, and we plan to have our work promotion by word of mouth, as I said before, with the evangelist doctors. Once we create the awareness, we plan to convince our end users, who are hospitals and healthcare providers, by providing them with a clinical study report which shows the safety and efficacy of the device, and we are also planning to convince the other purchase decision makers in the hospitals by providing the financial benefits that they will achieve by using our product. Similar to that, in approaching the distributor, we will participate in the trade shows where all the distributors will come and meet. We will show our product potentials, and we will make a one-on-one call and describe what we have. In convincing the decision makers of distributors, we will show the growth potential of our product and the demands it has been created for the hospitals by the potential cost-saving and life-saving device. After creating awareness, we are planning to close the sales by getting feedback from the distributors and hospitals, and we also plan to evaluate their needs and to close the deal by our good offerings. And in the continuous support after the sales, we plan to provide a good logistic support for the distributors and continuously evaluate the needs of hospitals, and thereby we can add new features to our product, and we will update them with our company news to keep them in touch. This shows our operational flow. As you can see, the arrow shows the flow of information and the blue shows the flow of product. As you can see, we outsource our manufacturing to contract manufacturers. Contract manufacturers send the finished product to the warehouse where it will be quality checked and stored. In the front end, hospital places order to the distributor. Distributor in turn places order with us. We send the product to the distributor, and distributor distributes our product to the end users, who are hospitals and nursing homes. You can see we manage our inventory in the warehouse, and we plan for the first lot, we plan to purchase it depending on the sales forecast we have made for the first 6 months. Once we have the first lot, once our sales has been started, we will analyze the past sale, and we will seek the information from distributors to forecast the demand from the hospitals. With that accurate information, we can able to project for the further 3 months the accurate demand for our product, so that we can order to the contract manufacturer the exact level. As you can see, our shelf life is 3 years for our product, so we don't see any problem in keeping our product long in the warehousing or at the distributor's place. We plan a 4th stage of product development and approval process. After finishing the prototype development, we plan to test our product in phase 1 testing, which will be consisting of going to a hospital which has institutional review board called IRBs, where they allow our prototype to be tested in the humans and to get feedback, so we can reiterate our product development process. In the stage 3, with phase 2 testing, we will approach a teaching hospital where they'll be willing to test this in a bulk quantity to do a clinical study. We will finish that in the stage 3 of our testing. And our first milestone is to determine the safety and efficacy of the device, which we anticipate to take about 6 months. Our next big milestone would be getting a 510(k) approval from the FDA. As this is a device which is already existing in the market, we don't need to do an extensive clinical trials. We just need to prove our device is a substantial equivalent for a device which is already existing in the market. So we anticipate this process would take 6 to 9 months to complete. I'll give it to Aditya to explain about our economic model.
With our current pricing of approximately $6, we seek to get very high margins on our product, and also we are considering to increase our selling price to approximately $10, which should give us significantly higher margins. Along with this, we have outsourced our manufacturing to contract manufacturers, so this has reduced our fixed costs significantly, and hence our operating leverage is low. These two factors, combined with our ability to make sales in high numbers, should make our model profitable. Our management team, we have Dr. Michael Morris on our team, who is an excellent entrepreneur and academician, Dr. Steve Price, an expert on technology transfers and intellectual property management. We see two gaps in our Board of Advisors team, that is a Chief Medical Officer and a biotech manufacturing expert. This is our current team, and here too we foresee two gaps, a COO and a Director of Sales. Our COO essentially should have good exposure in the manufacturing field of disposable medical devices, and also the Director of Sales, who is an expert in sales of disposable medical devices. Our milestones, our patent was protected in 2008, and we have it until 2027. And our first round of financing is set to occur in year 1, following which we will do extensive product testing, which is one of our most critical milestones. Along with this, following this, we will have our FDA approval, which should take around 6 to 9 months. Following which, our delivery of first sales should occur in the third quarter of year 2. Also, for our marketing and expanding plans in year 3, we seek a round 2 of financing at this time. Our financial highlights, we seek to break even in year 4, and these sales represent all the 5 states that we have mentioned before. Our gross margins stand at 35%, so this means for every $6 of sales that we make, we have $2 going towards our fixed cost, $2.1 going towards our manufacturing costs, and $1.9 towards royalties, commissions, and dealer discounts. We are also expected to have positive cash flows in year 3. This is what we are offering our investors. We seek 2 rounds of financing. The first round would consist of $650,000 and the second round of $500,000. And our current evaluation of our company is $4.3 million. And for the first round of financing of $650,000, we are willing to give up 15% of ownership. Our exit strategy is in year 6 through mostly through an acquisition or a merger with a larger company, and at which time our investors can expect a return of approximately 30 times their initial investment, which stands at around $19 million for a $650,000 investment. And to finish off, we have a potential life-saving product which is safe and easy to use.
Thank you. We really do appreciate the presentation. Again, we only received your presentation just a couple of hours ago, so you might find our questions light. But we do appreciate your presentation. A couple of questions. Do the distributors handle Johnson & Johnson and the other things, or do they market direct to the hospitals and to the nursing homes?
Johnson & Johnson and Becton & Dickinson, they have their own distributors, and they don't directly distribute to the hospitals. They have their own distribution network which the distributor actually sends the product to the hospital.
Have you talked to the distributors? Have you considered a model of just licensing or royalty to a Johnson & Johnson, one of these other groups, and just collecting a royalty versus trying to manufacture and do your own distribution?
There's a possibility that our evaluation would be undermined by Johnson & Johnson. They won't, unless we prove our product, they won't mind taking our product, because they don't want to give the industry the practical thing is they don't want to give us importance once we prove our product. Once we finish our milestones 1 and 2, we can consider that giving our product to the potential big players like BD and Johnson & Johnson.
Question, which was not entirely clear in the presentation, was how close or how well protected the patent or technology would be, and what kind of similar products, and if the Johnson & Johnson or someone can just adjust a little minor variable and just kind of run you over.
Yeah, the patent has been granted in 2008, so the patent has been granted.
Is that a process patent, or is that
It's a utility patent.
Technology patent?
Yes, it's a utility patent.
Okay.
And none of the companies we have researched, the IV catheter companies, has the integrated cannula. So we see that as a significant advantage, competitive advantage that none of them has right now.
A suggestion that your business plan might do a little more to detail that. What if you have to actually match or even discount your product to the going rate? It seems that you have no margin at kind of the going rate. So how do you plan to do that if you can't charge a premium in your first years, if you have to match to get into the market or discount to get into the market?
We think our clinical study report will determine our price, because if we can reduce the cost to the hospital significantly, which it's $400 million every year, we believe that hospitals would find our technology as very disruptive and they can buy our product even though if we price very high. If our product can reduce the infection rates, the secondary infection rates to a significant level that the present day hospitals are trying to achieve, if we can give that product, I don't think that the premium pricing would be a barrier to enter the market.
Kind of from an investor perspective, is there a milestone that if you don't hit it, you get more equity out of round one other than 15%? And as an investor, very rarely let that round two not be tied down into a specific percentage. So it's left kind of unaddressed in your plan. How much equity does round two get?
We haven't actually considered that, because after our first milestone, we feel if we come out successfully with the product testing, we feel our product will be valued much higher, and that's when we will have to do a reevaluation. So for the time being, we have not considered that aspect.
What if you don't? You're not successful. What if you miss your time deadline? What happens to the investor then? Do they get more equity, or what happens?
That's for the investor to decide whether he wants to invest or not.
It's okay that your IPO is probably kind of on the small end from an IPO standpoint, so you kind of look the other way as far as your exit strategy there. Pass the mic.
I have two questions. When will the first prototype be available? Will the investors get a chance to see the prototype before they have to invest?
Actually, the prototype is being currently underdeveloped in OSU. It's being currently developed in the developing stage at OSU. We think that it will be available in the next 2 months so that we can show that prototype to the investor.
The second question is, given you're using this diaphragm inside the tube, the cost of manufacturing of this looks to me might be a lot higher than you're thinking. I mean, if you really talk to contract manufacturers, there are some industrial engineers to look at this, injection molders to see if they can really produce this product at a reasonable price.
Currently, in the product development, they are trying to address these issues, that is, the technical issues in manufacturing the product. They are evaluating this. By the end of 2 months, as I said, our prototype will be in my hand. I can be able to answer the questions better.
One of your primary targets is 180 Medical, and they are an at-home catheter-based company, and they market telemarketing and direct marketing. Have you approached them from the standpoint of the cost for this? Because the essence of the risk of not getting infections is a whole different mindset than the hospital environment. The catheter use at 180 is based on self-use at home. It's not in hospitals. Have you reached out to 180 to understand the market potential with them as a customer?
We haven't done that yet, but we have talked to Stillwater Medical Center right here, and as we talked to the nurses and the VP of nursing care, they were very interested to hear about this product and the potential for it to save the secondary infections.
To further answer that question as well, although you raise a very good point, obviously the infection risk should be lower at home. However, taking into consideration who's administering, and you are not in control of the home environment, that infection risk is still existent at home. And to further answer the pricing question as well, given that right now we're pricing it low for what we expect it to do, it's actually not that big of a jump for a company such as the one you described.
When you're saving so much money, probably you could demand a higher premium. That's a separate comment. But could you skip the FDA things here, go overseas where they're not that stringent, try out the product there, get the good feedback, improve the product, and come into this market with a stronger product? Have you considered that?
We haven't considered getting a CE approval for our product. We thought the FDA approval, in order, we just need to prove it is subsequent equivalent to an already existing product, and as 510K process, we understand it's a tedious process to go in, but it is less, it's a less stringent compared to the extensive clinical trials for a new product to get in. So we think that we can achieve our target in the US market itself.
The problem is you're a small company trying to work with billion-dollar companies out there, the BDs and all those people. To be successful, your product has to be damn good and should meet all the things that you wrote there. And it takes more time to do that here. Go try it out elsewhere, maybe India. Check out how it's working there and improve the product, come back here, go through the FDA. It may save you some time.
We can consider that. Thank you.
To further answer that question, we also need to consider some ethical issues, because if you have not proven our product well, and if it is not yet safe to be used on humans, I think we shouldn't go ahead and try to take a shot.
Are you still questioning it can be used on humans?
It can be.
No, it can be used. I mean, it is a thing that we still need to consider.
Question. The letter you passed out indicated that OSU IP is currently negotiating with a Gary Masad to obtain the rights to the technology. And then this is kind of an expression of intent that OSU would then sublicense it to you, to this company. Who is Gary Masad?
He's a co-owner of the intellectual property.
And how did we come to have, or OSU come to have a relationship with him?
Actually, Gary Masad approached OIPM to commercialize this product. I work for OIPM. I saw this opportunity and developed this business plan.
Is he an employee or on the staff?
He's
of
not an
OSU?
employee. He's an entrepreneur.
Okay, so he's someone out
Yeah,
there
yes.
who came to OSU
Yes.
for this. Okay.
Yes.
I'm still want to get back to the question of who pays for this. Our medical system is going through great upheaval now, no doubt. But it seems to me that in any chart that goes on a medical bill, it goes under great debate. So if the nurse reaches out and grabs a $6 or a $10 or whatever it is device to do a procedure as opposed to a $4 device to do a procedure, someone wants to get paid. Now, you're suggesting that the hospitals will overwhelmingly say, well, this is a no-brainer, we should just cover that additional cost because it lowers secondary infection rates, and we'll just do the right thing because we see it in the long run. I guess I don't mean to be too cynical, but I'm not sure it works quite that way. What happens if it ultimately comes down where the hospital says, well, sorry, we can't use it because the insurance company will only reimburse $4? What happens?
We have considered that. First, we looked into the reimbursement model, and we saw that there's already the HSCC code, which is already existing for the device. So the first question, it won't be considered as a new device. So the insurer will not be able to. That is, we don't think it will be a hiding point. But to answer to your question, how much they will be willing to pay, we are at the point that we haven't considered that much. We think that with the capacity to reduce the secondary infection, even though the insurance will pay low for this product, in order to reduce the huge expenses the hospital will incur, they won't mind spending a couple of dollars much, where each patient, that is, each infection costs $16,000 for them.
Certainly in an ideal world, I hope that's true. I think some research will have to go into that to determine whether or not that assumption is valid. It sounds like a really, really important assumption.
Key for us in that, which you raised a very important question indeed, key for us in there is to attract the innovative teaching hospitals first, because these hospitals in our research are willing to reach out, not necessarily for our product, but products that are cutting edge. And so finding those hospitals first will allow others to follow.
A couple questions. One, you mentioned McKesson. Do you know specifically when a McKesson, which is going to be extremely difficult to get into, when a McKesson would allow a product? I mean, I've got to think there's a pretty set process.
That's the process. They wanted us to prove the product, and they wanted us to know if the product is acceptable by the hospitals. That is, if we generate the demand from the hospitals, and we have the evangelist doctors who say this really works, and it has been proven the clinical safety and trials, and we'll be able to convince the McKesson to have a product in their portfolio.
And that's across the board for all distributors? Small and large?
Yes.
Okay. Did you say, I may have missed it, as far as being used with humans, what was the comment on that earlier?
On the ethical portion?
Yeah.
There is, while there is a product development, there are always issues. Whether the product is safe to use depends on the material that is used to develop a product. So those kind of things need to be proven first before we actually take it forward. So that's the feeling that I got, that if you're going to try to jump that process, it wouldn't be an ethical thing to do.
It's to add his question. There are institutional review boards. The hospitals which has institutional review boards will review our product to allow us to use it in the humans. We have identified 10 hospitals in Oklahoma City and the one at OU, which has the IRB facility in-house. We can approach them and have our product reviewed by them so that they will allow our product to practice in the humans.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to Integ Medical Devices and to all these students and to our judges. Now the judges will retire and make their deliberations. We will announce the winners at the banquet tonight. Thank you all for coming.